Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 15 and a half of the Mousetrap podcast. Another early morning episode because somebody had to attend a Denver Nuggets game last night. And that somebody is my co-host. As always, it's Isaac Hardy.
Yeah, that was me. Banger game. They annihilated the Pelicans. Honestly, not that I obviously want to talk football, but just it was crazy seeing live just how just buns the Pelicans are. Like they ran no good action, no good sets, got no good looks. It was really remarkable.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess it's not unfortunate, but you maybe want to see a better game. We're also
Yeah.
joined by the guy who is in the Chopped League Championship alongside my co-host Isaac Hardy. It's Austin Davis. Austin, how you doing?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Mad tired, but that's all right. I'll catch a nap later.
Yeah, early morning. We're keeping the energy up.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Maybe I'll take a nap at work or something. We'll see. We'll talk with Austin briefly about what he's been up to. I know we interviewed him pretty recently. We will, of course, go over who got chopped. We'll do the Fickle Beast Award, next to last Fickle Beast Award of the year, I guess. And then the waiver wire, very sleepy waiver wire as you would expect. And then the full championship preview. Anything from either of you guys before we jump in?
Let's get going.
Let's get going. So Austin, we won't take too much time because we did interview you pretty recently. I really just wanted an excuse to make an Austin related slide here, but I will ask you if there's anything big you've been up to, any real highlights you've hit since your last appearance on this podcast.
Passed all my finals and then got sent out to the clinic. So I'm in Little Rock at D1 Sports helping uh do PT on people now. So that's exciting.
Nice. Welcome to Little Rock. Happy to have you.
Yeah, it's been good.
You
Learning a lot about people's beliefs against my will most of the time. A lot of flat earthers out there, more than you'd think.
Hmm.
And it's an interesting crowd in Little Rock. You just never know what you're
Yeah,
gonna get.
I guess you don't.
are you like clinicals to the end now, or do you go back to like do you have classes next semester or something?
Yeah, I'll be clinicals until like Christmas, and then I go back for another 2 semesters of class, and then I'll be full clinicals.
Okay, sick.
Solid. You recognize, of course, the number one hit song from Blake Shelton, Austin. One of the
Yes, of
best
course.
country songs of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, great song. And then we got um Max Sandlin's mom's personal favorite, Austin Butler here, I
Hmm.
believe. A little tidbit there. She's a big fan. Um, and then, if I'm not mistaken, that is Stone Cold Steve Austin there on the end there.
It sure is, and Austin Reeves definitely could have made this slide. I actually
Oh
heard he
yeah,
hit a game winner last night, so I'm not really sure how I forgot to do that. But
yeah.
no matter, no matter. I think obviously we have a guy this week who got chopped who has been controversial. Not everyone likes him, but I just want to take a second and prepare our minds with a brief thought as we begin this part of the podcast. This is Leviticus 19:18. It says, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself." And so, with that in mind, I want to take a second to remember a guy who once cheered my death, but to remember him in a positive light. If we could go on to the next slide. Of course, this was a sad, oh, next slide. Of course, this was a sad week, but our friend Drake Bass was chopped. Didn't expect, or I did predict him to get chopped, but it was between kind of him and you, Austin, and just I mean, it was a good run. He made it to the next to last week, but his time had to come eventually.
Yeah, I mean, like we've said, kind of in the last pod, just everyone's team at this point was so good. It didn't really feel like it was going to come down to whose team outperformed. It was whose team underperformed, and obviously we'll look more at this at Fickle Pickle. But like he dropped a lot of really good guys. I think we probably snatched up most of his starting squad, despite also having really good teams. But all it takes is a couple unpleasant games, and you're done.
Yeah, he definitely had some duds. Looking at it, scored 114. I mean, like that's a pretty average score for week five. So Really tough week for Drake. Austin, any thoughts that come to mind? Anything on your brother Drake Bass being chopped before we read our memorial poem?
I was honestly just I was shocked. I'd kind of made peace with my maker that it was going to be my time to go, and I saw some of his guys start underperforming, and I was like, oh, there might be a chance. And then Bijan putting up nothing, Rashad White putting up nothing, Egbuka coming back from injury putting up not a whole lot. I mean, I got lucky. Hey, and I'd rather be lucky than good any day, you know?
That's what they say. Yeah, not a generational performance from your team. Got 145, which I'd say is pretty mid at this point in the season. Jake Ferguson did not score. Cam Scattaboo got hurt, but you don't have to win. You just have to not lose. That's the name of the game, and that is
Mm.
what you did this week. Getting into our poem for Drake, again, just a spirit of forgiveness with this poem. I'd like to take a second to read this now. Rip Bozo is what some people thought I might say, but I have a slightly different poem today. As I think about Drake, his perfectly chiseled features, he's fallen to that fickle, fickle creature. We call it chopped fantasy in all of its glory, and now two remain to finish this story. We'll miss Drake Bass, what a great league member, with his ball knowledge so vast and his love so tender. He was TNT president, and I'd vote for him again. He could lead me through the fire or into the lion's den. So we'll miss you, Drizzy Drake, and I forgive you once and for all. Rest well, my king, and we'll see you next fall.
Mm.
Thank you.
Not sure that's what the people wanted. I think the people are hoping for a sharper poem, but
Y-
respect to
You
taking the
know,
high
I
road.
considered it, but I hate to kick a guy while he's down. I remember TJ was hating on me some, but then when I was eliminated, he wrote a poem for me and I wanted to pay it forward, you know. I Getting chopped is not fun. You guys haven't experienced it, so you don't know, but it's not fun and you don't want to
Yeah,
be
I don't
kicked
know.
while you're on the ground. And Isaac, you probably never will experience it. So, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, maybe it's not the poem we needed, but it's the one we deserved, or however that goes.
I think
It's
it's
not the
not
poem
the
of need. It's the poem it deserves.
I think that's what he just said. All right, moving on now from Drake. We'll miss him. Great season, and obviously he's still got a good dynasty team. Looking at the Fickle Beast Award here, this one is kind of interesting. I mentioned last week possibly the concept of, I guess, rosterflation or Fickle Beast inflation as teams get better and better. And so I kind of just wanted to go through it and see kind of how many duds there were, and I think this one's gonna stay with Grant. I'll get y'all's thoughts as well. But as we remember, Grant had the Neighbors dud game, the CD Lamb dud game. I don't know if you could call Chase Brown a dud because at that point in the season, I feel like that was very expected from him. Like he was getting 6 points a lot. Debo, you could probably call a dud. Grant also had a really good performance out of Caleb Williams. It's close because as we look at Drake, I would really say maybe just two dud games, Bijan and Baker. I think you could kind of call Egbuka one, but he's had some games like that recently. But Drake also didn't really have anyone go off, which Grant actually has the highest scorer of either of these two teams with Caleb Williams. So I don't know. This one's kind of close. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on this fickle beast here.
Just doing some quick research. Drake scored 51 points, effectively fewer than he was projected in his loss. In Grant's loss, he scored 53 points fewer than he was projected. So there is certainly an argument to be made here. It's very close.
Yeah, and I mean, I would argue that given the point in the season, you kind of expect your guys to hit their projected a little bit more, maybe. And so
Mhm.
having even just, what is it, three here that fall significantly below their projected could be an argument. But no injuries, so I feel like that was kind of the
No
big thing that got
injuries.
Grant.
This one's tough. I would have league members vote, but no one ever hardly comments on these videos, so I don't know if we would get enough votes.
Vote in the
Actually, you know
comments.
what?
Vote
I
in the comments.
will. Comment down below who you think should be the fickle beast if you think Drake was more screwed over, if you think Grant was, and with how many people comment, one comment could literally be the difference. So you guys vote. If there's not one, if there's no comments, then we'll just decide and we'll have it for next week. But this is your chance to participate in the democratic process. So look at these rosters, pause the video if you need to, and study these rosters. Remember the words of Scott Davidson, and then leave your comment down below. Anything else on Fickle Beast?
No, excited to look at the waivers.
Excited to look at the waivers. You both got three players, but Isaac got more of the players, or I guess the more valuable players. So just looking at it here, as we see kind of like the C formation that we've made out of our deceased brothers over here on the side. But just looking at it, if you're listening, if you're not watching, Isaac snagged Jameer Gibbs for $18, Amon Ra for $18, and Bijan for $18. Very symmetrical. And then Austin gets Achan for $8, Javante for $2, and Lamar Jackson for free. So where do you guys want to start?
I'll just talk my strategy here a little bit. So I had $54 and these three guys I picked up are all currently on my bench, and I'm not even sure if I'm gonna grade them off my bench. So my thought was just let me just grab the best players I can and prevent Austin from getting them. So I had $54, so I by three, of course, is 18. Beyond that, I felt like anyone I was picking up would have forced me to drop someone who would be just as valuable to Austin. And so I was like, all right, look, I'm just going to do three. I think two on buy and one out this week. So I got rid of those three guys. So that was kind of my strategy with those pickups. And maybe I could sub Jameer or Bijan in, but as we'll see when we get to my squad, everyone on my roster except for my tight end is projected at least 20 points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
looking
I'll say
at, oh, go ahead.
when I woke up, because I figured you would do something like this, but I kind of figured it would be for Amon Ra and Jameer. So I put a couple, I guess lower bids, maybe 10, $11 on these guys, just kind of hoping you would neglect one of them and try and just outbid me on, one of them with $22 or something.
Yeah,
But mad respect on the strat there, $18 on each. If I would have put all my money on any of them, I would have got them, but I don't think that would have won me the game. So we'll see.
right. That was my thought process. Is I was like, for him to beat this, he would then be able to get nobody else. So I'm guaranteed to get two of the three, as opposed to guaranteeing myself to get one of the three. So
So how much money did y'all have going in? Did you already say?
I had $54.
I think I had 21 or $22.
Okay, so $54, which is obviously three bids of 18, so well done there. So yeah, Austin, you don't think because you put 11 on Jameer, which was $7 short. You put $10 on Amon Ra, which was $8 short, and then weren't really able to bid on Bijan. So I guess you're glad that you didn't pool your money for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a Jameer or an Amon Ra could go off for, 35 points at any given time, but I think I'm going to need more than one person going off to beat Isaac, so I maybe saved a little money, which doesn't matter now, and just got the best guys I could, and I'm just going to throw them out there and see what they can do and hope all of Isaac's players break their legs or something.
We always cheer for it, right? Yeah, there's I mean anyone could go off. We're about to look at the rosters in a second and preview this. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, the rosters are just absolutely stacked at this point. Really, really good players are getting dropped. And it's pretty impressive. And it does feel as we get into our championship preview here, like a little bit of a David versus Goliath situation. You know, you look at last week, Isaac had 200 points, Austin had 145 points, and then Isaac gets all the best players this week. Anything else on waivers that y'all want to point out or think is interesting before we get into our championship preview?
Ready to look up the squads.
Ready to look at the squads. I did this last night, so if you guys have edited your rosters or put bench players into starting spots, feel free to point that out. But I just want to read out these rosters really, really fast. I won't read out the benches. We can get into that later. But I actually didn't put names over the teams, and now I'm forgetting which team is which. But
It's on
looking
the
at these
left.
rosters, I'm going to say that Isaac has Josh Allen. Am I correct?
Yeah.
All right, so Team Isaac, the 2017 Warriors, the Goliath, the Behemoth. They have Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Warren, JSN, Puka, and Patrick Mahomes. Team Austin has some studs. Dak Prescott, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams, Trey McBride, Achan, Jameson, Javante Williams. If you had Jameson Williams, that would be tough at this point in the season. And Justin Herbert. Players on both benches right now include Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Bijan, just throwing out some names that I see. Um, yeah, it feels like, I mean, Isaac just has the all-star team, and Austin has a couple of all-stars and then maybe some guys who would be all-star reserves. That's just what it feels like to me looking at it for the first time. Um, I don't know. Where do you guys want to start with your rosters? Is there anything maybe you're considering changing with bench guys or starters? I guess I'll start there.
Yeah, I guess I can take that. You know what they say, the all-star reserves are selected by the coaches, so who really knows more here? But Lamar Jackson, he's still kind of a game time decision. I know he's coming off injury, but he's also projected more. So a little concerned about that. I think Derrick Henry's going to stay where he's at. Michael Pittman's an interesting one because he's been kind of going off, and then even in the weeks he doesn't, he gets, double-digit points. And then Jake Ferguson and Tucker Kraft obviously could also go off, but I just didn't feel good starting Jake Ferguson right off the bat, just because he put up that dud on National Tight Ends Day.
Yeah, looking at your roster, I mean, Trey McBride has absolutely been going off. Before his bye last week, 25 and then 34, which 34 is absolute. I know we're in tight end premium, but that's still pretty insane. If it was me, just my own personal opinion, I would absolutely, and it looks like you actually do have him in right now, but I would put Lamar in for either Dak or Herbert. I just think your team's gonna need to go off to beat Isaac, and I think Lamar could put up a dud, but I think he's also could easily go off. And actually, I don't think the chances are super high of him putting up a dud unless he gets hurt again. Isaac, anything you see when you look at Austin's roster before we get to yours? Anything that jumps out at you as you look at your opponent?
Yeah, the biggest thing that pops out to me is Devontae Adams in there, considering that Puka's likely to play. I think that's definitely going to ding his value a fair amount, as well as Justin Jefferson playing with a fresh back from injury, JJ McCarthy, who of course didn't look amazing in his first two games. So curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I like Austin. I think I like your running back spot a little more than your receiver spot. You got a lot of really good running backs. But then receiver spot on the bench, you're looking at Pittman. You also have Zay Flowers, who I don't think is going to be making an appearance this week, but I'm sure he'll be cheering him on from the sidelines. I assume that's kind of how you're feeling as well.
Yeah. And yeah, I saw that Puka was going to be back, and I nearly fell to my knees because Devontae Adams has been doing numbers for me, and I don't know if that'll change or if they'll decide to hold Puka another week. But if he's back and playing, that is scary for my team, and I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't really throw Devontae in a flex spot or anything like that. I'll just have to sub him out for another receiver. So
Um, without looking, that's how much I spent to get Puka Nakua.
probably $0 given where we're at.
That's close. I spent $4. I grabbed him while he was hurt. Someone just dropped him.
Mm,
Um, and he's coming back for the exact game I need him coming back for. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
My kind of decision is like I've got a couple of locks. Like of course Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes I think are gonna have a crazy duel on Sunday against each other. I think they're both gonna perform well. Jonathan Taylor and CMC, like those are just locks. JSN has been hooping. If Puka's back, I think that's the lock too. Tyler Warren's my best tight end. I've got to run him. It's just like Jamar and CD. Like Jamar's got Joe Flacco. He's been doing well. Do I trust that? CD as well didn't have a great game last week. Or do I run a Bijan or Jameer Gibbs or an Amon Ra? So my biggest fear is that I will lose this game. It'll be like CD Lamb had like 6 points on my bench. It's Jameer Gibbs with like 37. It's like I made the wrong decision, right? Um, so part of me this is the squad I ran last week almost to the T, except for I've got Puka in now and JSN. So um, That's what's making me nervous about this week, honestly.
I will say one thing that has made me pretty hopeful, I guess, is the matchups that we're looking at here, especially at quarterback. Like Justin Herbert versus my Tennessee Titans is all but guaranteed to have a good game. And Dak Prescott against Arizona or Lamar against Miami, I feel really good about those versus Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes playing against each other, which could be just an offensive, fireworks show, but could also be a really close game.
Mm,
Yeah, looking at it, it is tough. CD's an interesting one because I mean, obviously he was hurt for a while, and then last week he had 14, which is good, and he did that without a touchdown. But I don't know if that's really what you're looking for from, in this game with the scores that you want. Obviously, I think, if he just gets a touchdown or whatever, he could definitely do better. Also, that's on Monday night, so that just could lead to some scary hours. In fact, there's a lot of Monday night as I look around here. I don't know if Dak's going to be in, but Austin has Dak. He has Trey McBride, who will certainly, I think, be in, and Javonte Williams, and then of course Isaac has CD Lamb. So some Monday night happenings here, but yeah, it is crazy that you're deciding whether or not to put in Gibbs or Bijan. But Bijan coming off just the 5 point game. Obviously that was with Kirk Cousins, so you got to think about that. I'm gonna be interested. I'm gonna be interested to see what you guys decide. I mean, Puka coming off injury, like I'd probably put him in, but that at least has to make you think a little bit, I feel like.
hmm Yeah, decisions. I just hope I make the right ones.
Hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for sure. And that brings us to the moments you've all been waiting for. We're doing this more optimistically this week. Usually we do our chop prediction, but today we're doing our champ prediction, who we think will win, which is a happier way to do it, I think. And I don't think this will come as any great surprise. Of course, we'll let Austin make his at the end, even though he's not on here. But I am picking Isaac. Um, I just think the team is too good. I really just like, I know that some of the quarterback matchups are tough, but I do kind of think Buffalo KC tends to turn into an offensive shootout. I think they'll both have good enough games. And I just love Jonathan Taylor and then Christian McCaffrey against the Giants. I think the running back spot is really stacked. And I think Isaac definitely has an advantage at receiver. I don't think like you guys are talking about Devontae like he's going to do awful. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. He's had good weeks with Puka, but he's also had down weeks. I would definitely call wide receiver a disadvantage for Austin. And so anything could happen. Both teams are really, really good. Any of these guys are capable of scoring 25. And if all of these guys score 25, Austin's team will probably win. But I just don't see it. I do really like Lamar against the Dolphins, but I'm going to have to go with Isaac as my champ for Chop 2025.
Yeah, one other thing. Oh, what the heck? One
Uh-oh.
other interesting thing to consider is Austin does have Dak Prescott, who has been classically considered an unlucky charm. I feel like for a while, Dak Prescott was getting passed from losing team to losing team to losing team. Um, so that's going to be the biggest factor, of course, in my decision to select myself. I've yet to choose myself to be chopped any week, even whenever I was closer to the chop zone than, of course, I am now. And I will continue to have faith in my squad.
For what it's worth, before we get into Austin's prediction, Austin has seemingly, and I think even if he loses this week, like he made the championship, come on. I think Austin has broken the Dak curse. I'm looking at the waivers right now. He added him on September 30th, and that today marks 1 month of Dak Prescott
Hmm.
on Team Austin. Happy anniversary. And
Ooh.
he's been good. So I think, some of us weaker teams, like I had Dak, I don't want to throw shade at anybody, but some of us weaker teams maybe succumbs to the Dak curse. But I think Austin has maybe successfully broken it, but we'll see if Dak maybe drops 6 points this week and loses, then that would be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Austin, I'm curious for your champ prediction. Do you think your boys can pull the upset? How you feeling?
Yeah, as soon as you picked me that one week with the Dak curse to be chopped, I think that's the motivation my team really took and needed. We slapped it up on the whiteboard in the locker room, and we've been chugging along ever since. I think I've had 2 weeks where I started in the chop zone and avoided it. Um, and Dak has been leading us the whole way. I'm really proud of my guys, drafted in my pocket while I was eating Slims. So just to get a team that was just a bunch of guys auto drafted and turn them into this squad, I'm just really proud of them. But that being said, I think we're aware of our potential and it is low. And so barring some miracle or tragedy to Isaac's team, I think we're aware that it's our time to go, and I'm picking Isaac
Mm.
to win.
Wow.
Mm,
I respect your honesty. Yeah, it feels like that movie, Facing the Giants. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Facing the Giants with like the high school football team and the kid that can kick.
hmm.
You guys know Facing the Giants.
Yeah, the one
You know,
where if you trust God, He'll give you a brand new truck. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
really good messages from that one. And Austin's team, they're this underdog, ragtag bunch of guys, drafted them in his pocket. You keep thinking they're gonna lose. They do lose, but then the other team's on probation. Brock, you're in the end zone, and Isaac is just this guy waiting at the end. They're like little doggies nipping at your heels. You guys remember that scene, no doubt. So it just kind of feels like a real facing the Giants type situation in here, and you just wonder who's gonna be David. Who's going to be the kid who steps up and his dad gets out of the wheelchair and he's like, I'm going to kick the field goal. And Mark Richt of the Georgia Bulldogs is like, go kick the field goal. And then they do it and they win. There's going to be a David situation here. And I just wonder who it's going to be. Or maybe the good team just wins and then it's not like facing the Giants at all. But I hope we get
How
a
many
facing the Giants moment this week.
how many times have you seen this movie?
Oh, just two or three, really. But you just see the
Bro
similarities.
quoted like 6 lines.
I was really inspired at the end when they find out that they can have a kid. So I hope that part's not, an Austin thing where they're struggling with that. But it's a good movie. I just like when Austin was talking about, drafted him in his pocket, never thought he'd be here. It just reminded me of facing the Giants. That's all. Anyone else have any other facing the Giants analogies they want to provide?
No, I don't think so.
All right, that's fine. I actually didn't want them anyway, so that actually works out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget, comment down below. Can we go back to the Fickle Beast slide real quick? Sorry to make you work, Isaac. Here it is. The teams, don't forget, comment down below who you think should be the Fickle Beast. You can determine it. I think if I had to do Vegas betting odds right now, I think I'd say Drake because I feel Grant always watches as well, but I feel very confident that Drake will watch because he thinks I'm going to roast his team. And so then he will comment himself to be the new Fickle Beast. So I'd lean Drake on the Vegas odds, but it's up to you guys. You can vote in the comments, so do not forget to do that. Anything else from either of you guys before we go into the Chopped Championship? Any messages you want to give to our fellow league members?
Hey, don't forget to go tea time this Halloween. Jersey no draws.
That'd be pretty
Oh, we
wild.
can end on that. We can end on that.
Yeah, appreciate you guys so much. And thank you so much for watching. One other thing, sorry, do not forget next week we are having our worst waiver ads of the season draft featuring the only guest this podcast has never, well, there's a lot of guests we haven't had. The only league member this podcast has never had. It's Will Nixon. So don't forget to tune in for that. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.